Alright, so this might be my last video about the Samsung mixed reality headset, and I'll tell you why. First, let's go ahead and talk about the good. So as you guys know, SteamVR has been released and you can now play SteamVR games, most of them, on the mixed reality platform. And by the way, for those who are confused, it's pretty much bad marketing, but the reason they're called mixed reality is because the platform is made for HoloLens, which does have mixed reality. They're pretty much using the same platform as the HoloLens for these headsets. Even though these headsets are not really mixed reality, they're just pretty much VR headsets. So that out of the way, let's talk about what's good. So yeah, SteamVR has been out and pretty much you can play most of the games on this headset, but of course it has been just released and there are a bunch of quirks. It's really janky. It's pretty much just duct taped onto the platform itself. And here's why. So at first you would think that the controls here have enough buttons and functions to emulate an HTC Vive wand controller. And although that's the case, and it could probably do it, it's not very well implemented at this time. And hopefully we'll get some update or some kind of community plugin or add-on or some kind of mod that enables us to remap everything to our liking. But right now, the way that these controls are mapped is as follows. So pretty much everything is almost the same, except that the thumbsticks, you don't really use them, and you only use the thumbstick buttons to do two of the following functions. The right thumbstick is to switch between the controllers. It will switch the controls between left and right. Then the left thumbstick button actually is your Steam VR menu, that one that you usually see when you press the Steam VR menu button on a wand controller. And as an HTC Vive user at this time, you're going to constantly keep hitting the wrong button, where you'll be pressing the Windows Home button and it will instantly bring you back to the home screen, the Cliff House. And at that point, that's when you'll realize that the Cliff House is always running in the background. And you'll see that SteamVR is running through a window, an application just thrown in the middle of the Cliff House. And that is why I'm saying SteamVR is pretty much duct taped onto the platform itself. And with that, of course, the Cliff House is probably running 24/7 while SteamVR is running at the same time, which is going to probably use some resources. How much? We don't know. Now, setting aside the button layout comes the tracking. And if you have watched my 38-minute long video, what we have noticed is that the tracking is actually much better in Space Pirate Trainer than the actual Cliff House itself that is made by Microsoft. And that was also the same case in Steam VR. The tracking wasn't on point. It was having issues. The controllers were often losing tracking and it wasn't all that great. But that does also give us some hope that it is easily fixed in some kind of software update, because again, it was tracking much better in Space Pirate Trainer, but it was not tracking as good in the Cliff House itself. And not only that, the controls were actually unresponsive when trying to scroll through menus in the Steam VR platform. So to sum up Steam VR right now, it's kind of wonky, it's kind of janky. It does work, but it is not perfect. It still needs some polishing, and it is definitely not ready for prime time. And yes, you're going to have issues with the controls losing tracking when you try to reach behind you or whatnot. So it's not perfect. And now let's go ahead and talk about what makes this headset good and the technology itself as a whole. So first of all, the Odyssey itself, it's a pretty okay looking headset. It has built-in headphones, it has an OLED display, higher resolution than the other mixed reality headsets, as well as the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive, and in general, it feels like the most complete package. Only if that was the case when it is in use, especially for a glasses user, and we'll put the glasses part aside for now. So when using this headset without glasses, it is an okay experience for the most part, and it does fit, but definitely not as good as the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift, and definitely not as good as the PSVR, and that is for sure, because really it doesn't feel ergonomic. It doesn't feel like someone who is working with VR has made the headset. And there's also the really annoying rubber nose piece that is not removable. It doesn't seem like so, because if you try to remove it, it will end up ripping 2 contact points. And it just pretty much feels like a last thought. Basically, when you put on the headset with this nose piece, it will feel like your nose is being constrained. Just by looking at it, you can imagine what it feels like. Basically, you got 2 rubber pieces that are pushing against your nose, and it is not comfortable. And it feels like it was a last thought to block out any light leaks. And if you're wondering about the God rays themselves, they are there, but they are not as bad as the HTC Vive. But they are definitely there because it also uses Fresnel lenses. You would expect Samsung to know something about that since they make the Gear VR and they have worked with Oculus. Except that's not the case. The tightening band, it does its job, but the problem here is that the padding here is a bit too stiff. It's a bit too thick, and when you try to match on your face, it doesn't feel like the headset wants to stay on. The headset doesn't really mold to your face like it does on an Oculus or a Vive, and it really feels like a cluttered experience, and that is disappointing because this headset has a much better display than the Vive, because if you compare these headsets, the HTC Vive feels like a 720p display on your PC, not a headset on a regular PC screen, while on the other hand, the Samsung feels like a 1080p display. It feels right, it feels natural, and it is definitely not like the Vive where the first thing you'll notice is the screen door effect, and that is something really prominent. And really, after experiencing the Samsung headset, my HTC Vive started to feel like it was from 2 generations back of VR. The difference is there, and you're definitely going to notice it firsthand if you compare them side by side. And I did test out Onwards and Virtual Desktop, and I can gladly tell you that they look great. You can definitely read text better, and things look more sharper and more natural because there's more pixels and less screen door effect. And yes, there was a slight improvement in the field of view. And overall, the image looked much cleaner. And in Onwards, it really felt like I was inside the game itself, even though the earphones were actually really annoying. In Onwards, you're going to definitely notice some improvement, but of course, the tracking is so bad, it's going to ruin your game. So with that said, definitely don't go out and buy this headset just to play Onwards, because you're going to have a worse experience than the Vive because of the tracking. And as you're doing so, when your controller is losing tracking, your hand is just going to fly away, and it's hilarious. So yeah, back to the display and lens. It is nice, it is sharp, it's much clearer, but many people were talking about how it was not sharp on the edges. Now, personally, I did not have an issue with the edges being not sharp, and some people were talking about how the HTC Vive's lens were better on the outer edges. But again, personally, I did not have an issue with that. Everything looked normal. And lastly, the movie or video watching experience on this thing, it's okay for the most part. Maybe not so much. Visually wise, it's pretty good. Comfort wise, not so much. First of all, the headset becomes front end heavy after 15 to 30 minutes of use. And that's obviously because you're not moving your neck, so your neck just ends up becoming stiff. And that's when I noticed that the strap was too tight. I mean, even after loosening it, I felt like my head was being pressured a lot by the band itself. Which brings us to the next point, and that is the headphones. Now let's go ahead and move on to the built-in headphones. And the built-in headphones, as you guys have heard, they are nothing special and they're pretty bad. They don't distort. Bad as in there's nothing special about them. They don't sound great, there's no bass response, and they're really uncomfortable. They don't feel great. They kind of just lay on your ears, they don't have any pressure, and they are nowhere near the deluxe audio strap on the HTC Vive in terms of comfort or audio quality, even though they are advertised as some kind of premium AKG headphones, which it definitely doesn't feel like that is the case here. You also can't put it away on the sides like you do on the deluxe audio strap for the Vive, and because of that, the whole headset weight is laying down on the headphones themselves, which resulted in one of my earphones actually breaking apart from its shell. Now, I can clip it back in, but it still clips out when I lay it on the table. So who knows how long this headset will last, especially with these earphones that you can't remove and you can't replace, because there's no built-in headphone jack on the headset itself. So if you don't want to use the headphones, you're out of luck. And finally, moving on to the controls themselves, they do feel pretty plasticky, they feel pretty cheap, and I definitely don't think these are ready to take a beating of any sort. And you can see how wiggly they are. There is only one contact point for that tracking ring right there. And of course, they are using AA batteries. Now, there are benefits and there are downsides for AA batteries. The benefit is that you can change the batteries instantly and be back in your game, but at the same time, they are pretty cumbersome when you have to have a dedicated charger and you have to buy separate rechargeable batteries to use this thing. On top of the non-included Bluetooth dongle, which many people have had issues with. Oh yeah, and one more thing, if you grip the controls too hard, the back battery cover will actually pop off. So yeah, about the glasses users. If you're a glasses user, forget the headset because there's no way you're going to enjoy this headset. It's going to feel really bad. Unless you have contacts, then you might have a better experience. But if you're wearing glasses, honestly, just forget about the headset, move on, or get an Oculus Rift because you are definitely not going to enjoy this headset. But that is really the case for pretty much all VR headsets at this time. Fortunately, I can manage to use the HTC Vive without my glasses. And at the same time, it really doesn't seem like there are many VR reviewers that wear glasses. It seems like pretty much everyone who reviews VR, whether it's games or hardware, they all don't wear glasses except for me. And really that is the same case for pretty much all VR headsets out there. And I've had the issue with the HTC Vive. Wearing glasses with my Vive not only is uncomfortable, but at the same time, I'm going to be scratching my lens, which I have already done multiple times. So until then, I am going to try to get my hands on some custom VR lens labs to install on my headset. Alright, so a couple questions. Should you get this headset over the other mixed reality headsets? Well, this headset does definitely have a much better display. It's much brighter, it's more vivid, and has a higher resolution display. If that intrigues you, then get this headset. Now, the other 2-in-1 question is that should you get this headset or mixed reality as a whole over the Oculus Rift for the same price? The answer is if you're planning to get serious into VR and you don't mind the cluttered base station setup of the Oculus and you really want better tracking, then get the Oculus Rift. Or if the convenience factor really intrigues you, which it does with me, unfortunately I can't really use the headset and I can't really enjoy it, then get the mixed reality. Not a whole lot of people think about this, but it is really awesome. The ability to take a headset and a laptop and set it up up within 5 minutes or less and have a VR setup ready at virtually anywhere is amazing. You can just imagine taking the headset to a friend's house, set it up, and you're good to go. You start VR and you play VR at a friend's house, and you can just take the headset and go back home. No base stations, no clutter, no cables, none of that. You get the whole thing set up within minutes and you're good to go. And that is why I really love these headsets. But unfortunately, again, I can't really enjoy it. And pretty much none of these mixed reality headsets have a perfect design. The only other headset that I have tested out other than the Odyssey was the HP headset. And that was also pretty horrible because the padding was also pretty thick and it pretty much had similar issues to the Odyssey here. Minus having a terrible nose room and actually having a flip-up screen where the Odyssey doesn't have that, which adds even more hassle, even though the mixed reality headsets were advertised to have the flip-up visors, which are really useful. And once again, this is not going to be my last video about mixed reality. It's going to be my last video about the Odyssey, that's for sure, because I do plan to check out the Dell and the Lenovo headsets because I've heard good things about them, and hopefully the next video will be me trying out the headsets at some kind of Microsoft store and give you guys my opinion on them. But until then, this is what I think about the Odyssey headset. This is what I think about the mixed reality headsets as a whole. It is just a convenience factor. The highlights are it's not comfortable, but it is damn convenient. But for the price you're paying, I would expect better comfort. And I think all of the mixed reality headsets should be at least $100 less than the Oculus. Because pretty much as soon as Microsoft announced these headsets at $399, Oculus has also dropped their headset, along with their amazing touch controllers for $399 as well. This is of course consumer-grade inside-out tracking technology at its infancy, and I can definitely see this technology is going to stick around for a while, and it should definitely get better in the future with better designed headsets and more tracking cameras set up all around the headset. And of course, we're going to see this technology in some standalone headsets, such as the upcoming HTC Vive Focus. And one last thing, I know this video wasn't very well constructed. I do want to make it clear that I don't hate on the technology or the mixed reality platform. The mixed reality platform can definitely improve in the future updates, and the technology itself, although it has its limitations, it's not bad. It is convenient and it works, and it gives the end users options, and it allows more people to easily access VR in a room-sized environment. But my main problem with these headsets, especially this headset, is that they are too damn expensive. When Oculus saw that they are releasing the mixed reality headsets for $399, the Oculus also dropped the headset with the controllers for $399. And I think these headsets should be at least $100 less than what they are right now, and they should stay at that. Because right now what these mixed reality headsets are offering are not good enough. And I believe right now we are still waiting for a properly designed VR headset from whatever manufacturer, because right now none of these headsets are very ergonomic. They're not perfectly designed. Some of them might be good enough. With that, I am going to go to a Microsoft store, test out the Lenovo and the Dell visors and see if they are any good. And until then, I will let you guys know how they are. So yeah, the Samsung Odyssey headset, it may seem promising, and although it has a much better display, the design and the ergonomics overall and the price is just terrible. Until then, that is actually pretty much it for this video. So if you have any questions that I have missed out on, let me know in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe for content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.